Have you ever felt tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix? Not sick, not exactly depressed, just drained, quietly drained. If that's how you've been feeling lately, this may not be about getting older as much as you think. Because some of the deepest loneliness after 65 does not feel like sadness. It feels like exhaustion. And sometimes the body says, "I'm tired," when the heart is really saying, "I've been alone too long." Today, I want to share 6 signs that you may not just be physically tired. You may be emotionally isolated. And if that's true for you, I want you to hear this from the very beginning. You are not weak, you are not needy, and you are not imagining it. A lot of older adults dismiss what they feel. They say, maybe it's just my age. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe I just didn't sleep well. Maybe I'm having one of those days. And yes, sometimes tiredness is just tiredness. But sometimes it is something deeper. Because you can have family, you can have neighbors, you can still go to church or attend community events or see people from time to time, and still feel emotionally alone. You can be loved and still feel unseen. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like no one has really stepped into your inner world in a very long time. That kind of isolation wears on a person slowly, not all at once, not dramatically, just little by little, until one day you realize you're not only tired, you're underconnected. You're carrying too much of your emotional life by yourself. And that kind of pain is hard to explain. Because maybe you do not want to burden your children. Maybe you do not want to sound negative. Maybe you were raised to keep going, stay strong, and not complain. So instead of saying, "I feel emotionally alone," you say, "I'm just tired." Instead of saying, "I miss being truly known," you say, "I don't have much energy lately." Instead of saying, "I wish someone would really ask how I'm doing and stay long enough to hear the truth," you say nothing at all, and that silence can become its own kind of weight. So if any of this sounds familiar, let's gently put words to it. Sign 1. You feel tired even when you've had enough rest. This is often the first sign. You sleep, you sit down, you take it easy, and still, something in you feels worn out. That is because not all exhaustion comes from physical activity. Some exhaustion comes from carrying unspoken feelings for too long, from missing closeness, from going through your days without real emotional contact, from having thoughts and memories and fears and sadness, and nowhere safe for them to land. When your inner life has been holding itself up for too long, that can feel exactly like fatigue. Not dramatic fatigue, just a quiet, stubborn heaviness. Sign 2. You no longer feel like reaching out to anyone. You think about calling someone, and then you don't. You consider sending a message, and then it feels like too much effort. Not because you hate people, not because you want to isolate, but because a part of you has grown tired of shallow connection. Sometimes emotional isolation makes people withdraw, not because they want less love, but because they are tired of contact that does not feel meaningful. A quick check-in, a rushed conversation, a polite exchange. Those things are fine, but they do not always touch the deeper ache. And after a while, you may stop reaching out because what you really miss is not conversation. It is closeness. Sign 3. Your days feel flat, slow, or strangely empty. This is not always sadness in the obvious sense. Sometimes it is more like this. Nothing feels especially wrong, but very little feels alive. Morning becomes afternoon. Afternoon becomes evening. And the day passes without much feeling in it. You watch television, you do small tasks, you sit quietly, you get through the day, but you are not really looking forward to much. That can happen when life has lost some emotional texture. When no one is really waiting to hear your story. When no one depends on your presence in the way they once did. When you miss the feeling of mattering in someone's daily life. That kind of emptiness often gets mistaken for laziness or aging, but many times it is emotional disconnection. Sign 4. You get more emotional than you used to, and you're not sure why. Maybe you tear up more easily. Maybe little things hurt more than they should. Maybe certain evenings feel heavier. Maybe the silence in the house says more than you want to admit, and you cannot always explain it. That is common when someone has been emotionally undernourished for a long time, when you have not felt deeply seen, when you have not felt truly checked on, when you have had to swallow your feelings over and over. The heart becomes tender, not weak, tender. Even small moments can press on a bruise that has been there for years. So if you have found yourself unusually sensitive lately, it may not mean something is wrong with you. It may mean something important in you has gone too long without comfort. Sign 5. You avoid activities you used to enjoy. You tell yourself, I just don't feel like going. Maybe next time. I'm too tired. And sometimes that is true. But other times, what you are really saying is this: I do not want to be around people and still feel alone. That is a very painful experience. To show up, to smile, to make small talk, and still go home feeling untouched. Emotional isolation can make even social settings feel draining. Because when what you need is sincerity, surface-level interaction can leave you feeling even emptier than staying home. This is why some people stop going out, not because they do not care anymore, but because they are tired of coming back with the same ache they left with. Sign 6. Deep down, you miss being truly needed, remembered, and waited for. This one reaches very deep. Many older adults do not only miss people, they miss their place in someone's life. They miss being asked for their opinion. They miss someone waiting for them to come home. They miss having a person to tell the small things to. They miss being part of the rhythm of someone else's day. And when that role fades, after retirement, after children grow up, after the loss of a spouse, after friendships change, something inside can go quiet. You may still function. You may still smile. You may still look fine from the outside. But inside, you feel yourself slowly dimming. Not because you have nothing to give, but because no one seems to be reaching for that part of you anymore. And that can create a kind of tiredness that goes far beyond the body. If you recognized yourself in some of these signs, please do not reduce it to this: there must be something wrong with me. There may be nothing wrong with you at all. You may simply be living with too little emotional closeness. You may be carrying too much alone. You may be feeling the cost of being strong for too long. And that is very different from being broken. Emotional isolation does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like a person who still gets up, still functions, still answers when spoken to, but inside feels less and less connected to life. So what do you do with that? Not all at once. Not by forcing yourself to become a different person overnight. Just gently. First, name it honestly. Instead of saying, I'm just tired, try saying to yourself, I may be emotionally lonely. I may need more real connection. I may be hurting more than I've admitted. That kind of honesty is not weakness, it is relief. Second, look for one sincere point of contact. Not 10 people, just one. One phone call where you do not pretend quite so much. One person you trust enough to say, I've been feeling more alone than I expected. One small opening. Third, let yourself need closeness without shame. There is nothing childish about wanting to be checked on. There is nothing embarrassing about wanting warmth, presence, or emotional safety. We are human beings. We do not outgrow the need to be known. And finally, remember this. Sometimes healing does not begin with advice. It begins with being understood. Sometimes what lifts a person is not a solution. It is the feeling that someone finally sees what they have been carrying in silence. So if you have been feeling tired in a way that rest does not fix, if you have been getting quieter, flatter, less eager, less connected, please do not ignore that part of yourself. And please do not shame yourself for it. You may not be lazy. You may not be just slowing down. You may not be asking for too much. You may simply be living with a level of emotional isolation that would wear anyone down. What you are feeling makes sense. And more importantly, it matters, because you still matter. Your presence still matters. Your voice still matters. Your inner life still matters, even if the world has not reminded you of that lately. If this spoke to something quiet in you, I'd love for you to leave a comment and simply say, "I understand this feeling." And if you know someone who has seemed more tired, more withdrawn, or more distant lately, share this video with them. It may help them feel seen in a way they haven't felt for a long time. And if you'd like, stay with me for the next video. Because on this channel, we talk honestly about the emotional weight so many older adults carry. And we do it with warmth, dignity, and hope. You are not the only one feeling this, and you do not have to carry it alone.